Palestinians in the Gaza Strip and in the West Bank have been holding anti-Israel protests known as the Day of Rage. 17 Palestinians have reportedly been injured in confrontations with Israeli soldiers. The Israeli military has put the West Bank city of Ramallah under a closure using checkpoints and roadblocks. They've also arrested 100 Palestinians in what they call a manhunt.
We say that the crimes committed by the occupation against our heroes will not terrorize the Palestinian people, who will continue in their path to end the occupation, God willing. This, for the sure, will be part of the Palestinian visions towards more unity.
And this follows an outbreak of violence that has left 4 Palestinians and 2 Israeli soldiers dead. Hardline Jewish protesters outside Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's residence and in West Bank settlements. They're calling for the Israeli army to take a more forceful approach. Joining me now to discuss more, RT correspondent Dan Cohen, who spent years on the ground in Israel and the Palestinian territory and made the documentary called Killing Gaza. He's joining us now. All right, Dan, what brought about this latest explosion of violence?
Well, if we watch the mainstream news here in the U.S., we never hear about the greater context, about the colonization, settlement expansion that goes on every day. The Palestinians are living under the boot of the Israeli occupation, and then we only hear about the response to this, whether it's violent attacks like we've seen or otherwise. So in the last couple weeks, we've seen 33 Palestinian-owned homes demolished. Just last week, 14 Palestinians became homeless. And so these are things we never hear about.
Right. So what you're saying is what we see on the mainstream news is when the Palestinians respond to those events that you just mentioned here.
Exactly.
And now Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said, quote, "Our guiding principle is that whoever attacks us and whoever tries to attack us will pay with his life." How do you evaluate the Israeli government's actions here?
Well, this is a clear order from the Israeli Prime Minister to carry out summary executions, and it's not the first time he said it. You hear this from the entire political military echelon from the top. Clear orders for summary executions. This is, illegal under international law. And in this manhunt that Israel is carrying out, they've arrested, as you said, 100 people, including a journalist, a lawmaker, and a child. Now, that's under the pretext of looking for someone who opened fire on Israeli soldiers. And I don't think, all of these people are suspects. They've also put the entirety of the city of Ramallah, where I lived on and off for a few years, under blockade. So no one can go in, no one can go out, and it's a matter of collective punishment.
What are the living conditions like in Ramallah? If things are blocked off for who knows how long, what's it like to be trapped in there?
Well, Ramallah itself is it's somewhat of a bubble of the West Bank. So it's where the Palestinian Authority is situated, and the living conditions in Ramallah itself are actually pretty decent compared to the rest of the West Bank. But, there's a lot of resentment from Palestinians who live in the rest of the West Bank towards Ramallah. But, so the Israelis will allow, food and everything to transfer in to keep it afloat, but as they carry out this manhunt.
I see. Now, what about de-escalation? Has anybody thought about that? Are they going to do it? Do you see that happening?
Well, these kinds of outbreaks of violence we see every year, every season. It becomes basically predictable and somewhat banal. And so if we look at, what solutions is the Israeli government, who's in power, who's in control of the situation, who's getting billions of dollars every year from the United States government, this is the solution that they're offering, just ongoing occupation where these attacks kind of become predictable. Now, if we look at the response from the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's son, Yair Netanyahu, he wrote this on Facebook. He wrote, "There will be no peace here until 1, all Jews will leave the land of Israel, 2, all Muslims will leave the land of Israel." I prefer the second option. So this is a young man who's being groomed to enter Israeli politics and take over in his father's place, and really reflects the mainstream thinking inside Israel. And so that's the solution they're offering.
Definitely harsh words, and we're so grateful to have a local in our own house expert, Dan Cohen, to discuss always anything happening out of Israel and the West Bank. Thank you, Dan Cohen.
Thank you.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.